Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast and Merry Christmas. We are here to talk about two more of the Thanksgiving weekend releases on Hallmark Channel. And we're talking about Believe in Christmas and The Christmas Quest, some pretty fun movies, I would say. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Molly Raspberry's here. Molly, thank you so much.
Woo! Thanks for having me. And this is not the. I also watch Hot Frosty, so this is the second
Oh,
Lacey Sherbert Christmas movie I've seen this season.
what'd you think of Hot Frosty?
I thought it was thought it was pretty fun. It was
Yeah,
cute.
yeah.
So yeah, even though I was still so confused about the scarf physics, especially when he wakes up and I was like, does it just stick to his junk? Just how does that work? Or like it's like Godiva hair just with a
Yeah.
scarf.
Yeah, it's best not to
Yeah.
think about like how does he get does I guess he goes with the scarf into the shower, I guess.
Yes,
Like
yes, I
maybe,
know. My
maybe he just smells bad. I
my
don't
friend,
know.
he was wondering just like, how does that work? Does he have that? Just like, no, he probably doesn't because he was a snowman. He is like an atomic doll, like Dogmo right there.
Well, if you like
Until he
Hot
becomes a real
Frosty,
man.
if you like Hot Frosty, you should see one from a couple of years ago called Snowman's, which is a
Oh, that's
similar
what my friend
idea,
was talking about.
but
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and it was funny. I was actually putting together a list of,
Mhm.
because we're thinking of doing a ranking of snowman come to life movies. And there's a bigger
Yes.
filmography than you think.
It's a huge subgenre.
Yeah, it really is. It's a
I
big
mean, it did make
subgenre.
me then go back and re-listen to Kate Bush's Misty, which is a song about her creating a snowman and it comes to life and she falls in love and actually sleeps with him. And
Oh,
then he
wow.
melts after all that, and so she just wakes up to a puddle, and it's just like it's so sad and you're like, "Oh my God."
You're like, this took a turn.
I know. I was like, "Oh man."
How was your Thanksgiving? How was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did, yes. My sister came in from Baltimore, actually, which is
Oh,
why I feel
nice.
like I always want to Baltimore represent with people I love from Baltimore, including my sister and other people. And we came in and we had a nice Thanksgiving. My dog had lots of turkey, thank goodness, because she was whining at the table and just like, give me some turkey. Mm, mm." And she does her little bark thing. We
Aw.
have to put a bark collar on her if she starts barking at us because she gets jealous. But yeah, we had a nice Christmas. I was with my family, my parents, my brother, my sister. How about you?
Nice. Mine was very simple. I went to a friend's because my parents were out of town, and
Hmm.
in the kind of the big celebration is this week. I'm in New York actually as we speak, and so that's kind of the family with all my cousins and my sisters and stuff. But so
Hmm.
actual Thanksgiving Day was pretty simple, but it's nice to go to somebody's place for Thanksgiving. You know, to do anything.
Yeah.
I just brought a pie made by my friend Marie Callender's, and that was it. That's all I had
Yeah.
to do. But that was great. They were super,
Mhm.
super sweet to let me bum in on their Thanksgiving.
I love Friendsgiving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. Let's talk about these two movies. I thought they were both pretty fun. I enjoyed both of them. And so the first one is Believe in Christmas. And
Hmm.
this stars Megan Ori and John Reardon and director Krista Will Wolf. And we
Hmm.
did just have Megan on the podcast last week. So that was really
Mm.
fun to get to talk with her. And it was neat because, she was on Once Upon a Time and Chesapeake Shores. And so it was kind of fun
Hmm.
to hear about her experiences on all those shows. And
Hmm.
and this was neat for all of us Hallmark fans because they're a couple in real life.
Hmm.
And so that was fun to see. Oh, they have
Yeah, I think they have
chemistry. And
4 kids, so.
yeah, and they had I think 3 kids while she was filming Chesapeake Shores.
Ooh.
So she was pregnant almost the entire time she made that show, which
Oh,
is really
I'm
fun.
wondering how many pillows they had to put in front of her and how much they had to fix
Yeah.
up her clothing for
And
that.
and pretty
I
much
know she's got
every
2 kids. I don't know why I'm thinking 4. I don't know where I got that from.
well, I was thinking it was 3 too, but maybe it's just 2 anyway. But she was saying that she was pregnant for most of the time that she was on Chesapeake Shores, which is funny. And most of the I think all of the women on that show that were of childbearing age had children.
Oh yeah.
So they had a lot of faking out, but it was
Yes.
fun. So if you haven't listened to
Hmm.
that episode, you should check it out. But the plot for this one is when Beatrice reluctantly joins her best friend on a trip to the enchanting Christmas land, she's skeptical of the holiday magic surrounding them. But as she experiences festive traditions and meets a charming stranger named Ethan, she begins to question what's real and what's part of the experience. In the end, Christmas Land helps Beatrice rediscover hope, love, and the magic of new beginnings. So, what did you think of this one?
I think I connected a little too much with Beatrice in the opening because the friend is just so like, oh, it's this Christmas magic and we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And I love the expos, like you get a great tell when she was just like, I got my peppermint mocha with the cream and Beatrice like, yuck, and I got you your black coffee, just like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
yep, yep, that's what I mean. I would at least want cream or sugar, but I'm just like, just put the peppermint stuff on there. I'm like, no, no, that's too festive. That's too much, too
Well,
much for
she's
me.
like a lost cause at the beginning because she
Yeah.
says she wants oat milk in her
Yeah.
latte. No good,
I
which is
actually
really
prefer soy
funny.
milk to oat milk if I had to choose, but
Uh, but yeah, so this is based on a book by Anne Marie Meyer, and I have
Mhm.
to say I was not a fan of this book. So I was
Mm.
I was maybe low expectations helped a little bit on this one. Um, plus, oftentimes couples in real life actually don't end up translating that well as far as their chemistry
Hmm.
uh, on the screen, which is surprising. But I always say that I think it's the how comfortable it's that comfort level that they feel with each
Hmm.
other that can kind
Agree.
of read as apathetic,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And whereas like that awkwardness that
Hmm.
of people not in love and not used to each other, like
Yeah.
I think sometimes that makes it feel a little bit more
Hmm.
that rom-com chemistry that you want to see on screen. But
Hmm.
I thought that they did pretty well. This is a
Yeah.
pretty good real life couple pairing, I think.
I do agree. I think they did a great job, which I feel makes the other couple in the film just
Yes.
look horribly miscast in comparison, because I think my biggest issue with the film was the fact that her best friend, Amelia, she is played by an actress definitely in her late 20s, early 30s, and they try to
Yep.
pair her with a guy who is 50 in real life, and
Yep.
he looks it. And they even, I talked about this on Twitter. I brought up that they compared him to the guy from Bridgerton, Renee J.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like, what?
No.
What?
Yeah, it made no sense. And I don't know what they were thinking with that. It really felt awkward. Like when he was first introduced, I was like, is he going to be her dad?
I know. I
Which is
thought to
not what you
myself,
want to
like, is
feel at
that
the
her
beginning of a
dad? Yeah.
love
I
story.
know. I was like, is that her dad?
Their
'Cause
secret father.
I know. No, it's not. It's her love interest. I'm just like,
Yeah.
could they not get a black actor and or a black model who, because Hallmark, they do like setting the black best friend with another black person because
Yeah.
it's mostly viewed by middle-aged white women, and they're not as comfortable with that. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they
yeah.
could have had any the because they do have a problem in Canada. I've talked to people involved in production and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, is that in Canada, they actually have like a very small proportion of the population is
Mm-hmm.
black,
Oh
only about
yeah.
4%.
Oh
And this is
yeah.
why they have an easier time making movies about like Asian cultures because it's like
Mm-hmm.
way higher than in the US. It's like
Oh yeah.
20% in
Mm-hmm.
Canada. So but there's no reason why they could have had an Asian, but there's no reason why this person had to be black for this role. They could have
Yeah.
been anything. And
And why he had to be this old? I'm just
yeah, this
the
old. It
actor
just,
is
or have
trying.
her
He's
not be so
trying to
young, like one or the
yeah.
other.
Yeah, and he didn't, and it's not like with Cary Grant who had this charisma that you actually were rooting for him to get with the younger woman because he's just so charming and charismatic. This guy is just not as charismatic as
Well,
the movie thinks he is,
and
unfortunately.
and any time with Cary Grant, it was always acknowledged in the script. Like in
Yeah.
Charade, he mentions it a couple times, like you're
Yeah,
too
and she's the
young,
one
you
who
know, he's
pursues him in charade. That was actually a big
yeah,
thing that he said, I don't want to be cast this because I feel I'm way too old for this. But
yeah.
Audrey said, I'll be the one pursuing you,
Well, and
and
it's
that'll make
basically
it
the
okay.
same in Sabrina as well. Like
And
she's
Sabrina,
more of the forward
exactly.
one,
Exactly.
for
And
Humphrey
with Love in
Bogart.
the Afternoon with Gary Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
even though a lot of
Yep.
people felt that was just really towing the line, but I personally thought it was cute. Cute. I
Yeah.
thought I liked Love in the Afternoon,
Yeah, me
but I
too.
can see why people had a lot of issues with that because Gary
But
Cooper is definitely in his 60s in there.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely the major flaw in this movie is the side
Mm-hmm.
relationship, which is a bummer because a lot of times the side relationships are just such a fun aspect of these
Mm-hmm.
Christmas movies. You know, they just sort of round it out and they can be really charming and funny.
Yeah.
But that was a problem. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
too much apart, so it didn't
And
it
at
didn't
least they didn't kiss. I was like, oh, thank goodness they did
yeah.
not kiss. I feel like even the actor was like, I would just feel very uncomfortable doing this. This actress is the same age or like could be my daughter. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. There's no doubt
mhm.
about it. But anyway, they're going to do this staycation in Christmas land, and it was a fun concept, this whole idea of
Mhm.
going to this Christmas land. It's kind of like an Austin land, but
Yeah.
I actually hate Austin land. But the concept is fun. I just don't like the fact that she basically gets assaulted and they're all like, "Oh, why are you complaining? Like why?"
Oh,
I'm like, that's not like part of the whimsical experience." Like
that's not the experience. No, it's
they
like
literally bully her because she's like upset about having been assaulted. Like, I don't know. So
it's
don't like Austin
it's
land, but
like
the
if Goofy just
concept.
accidentally punched you at Disney World and you're told not to be
Yeah.
upset about it.
Yeah, how dare
Like
you
it's just part of
complain?
the experience.
But
That
the
was my terrible Goofy
yeah,
impression.
the concept of Austin Land is fun. I don't like the execution. So like the concept of this Christmas land is fun.
Hmm.
And they actually like made it seem pretty magical.
Yeah.
There's a point where it's like, well, how far were they planning on going, with this?
Yeah.
Like and his behavior gets a little murky,
Hmm.
like when was he playing a part? When was he not playing a part? What was going
Hmm.
on? Kind of a thing. And we're just supposed to
Hmm.
kind of accept that, oh, he really loved her all along.
Yeah.
He was being authentic, even though
Yeah.
they were all playing a part. And
Yeah.
evidently, he's her Grinch guy. She gives the Grinches to
Yes.
him.
Yes.
But her
Which
friend really
works
wants
because
to
she's kind of a
go.
Scrooge, so they connect very well.
She's not much of a Scrooge, but enough for Hallmark, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like, no, she doesn't hate Christmas, but she's just like she tolerates it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't love it like she's supposed to. It's kind of like when you're like, I'm casual about Disney. It's just like you can't be casual about Disney if you're going to
Yeah.
Disney World.
So we also had a high coat count in this movie.
Yes.
There was at least six coats, if not
I
more.
noticed she had a lot of toboggans too. Like she even
Yeah.
inside, she was wearing them inside. And I was just like,
She brought a
is this be
lot of luggage.
I know. Is this
This,
because she was trying to hide the fact the actress is 42, even though she looks amazing? Because I could see like, oh, she's got some lines like me, and I'm in my early 30s. And she's aging naturally, and she's
yeah.
gorgeous, and just like, is she trying to hide that now? Is that why she's wearing the hats indoors all the time? Like,
uh
stop that. You are gorgeous, please.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so they had a lot of fun, I think, with
Hmm.
this movie, with the little
Yeah.
sort of winks into holiday movie tropes,
Yeah.
which I liked. That was
Hmm.
fun. Like for instance, at the very beginning when they get the flat tire and
Yeah.
the friend's like, "Oh, this is all planned." The man in flannel is gonna come and
Yes.
save us, and then he
Save us.
steps out of his truck and he's got flannel.
Yes.
That was funny. She's like, I
I was
bet
like,
they
is
have
it going to be like a
they
brawny man?
I kind of looked like that and he's like, I bet they have nails on the road here just so this will happen dear. It's all part of the immersive experience. And that was funny. The
Yes.
writers on this, it's Maggie Dalen, Anne Marie
Hmm.
Meyer, and Christy Will Wolf. And the thing I
Yeah.
don't like about Anne Marie Meyer's books, because I've read like three or four at this point,
Hmm.
and I kept giving her chances because she has great TikTok. They make it sound like so good, but she's really bad at like romantic payoff. She'll build up
Yeah.
these situations and then I don't know, I just felt like so like what? That's
Hmm.
how you're gonna end this? Like I don't know. Like I just felt like she was just I always felt underwhelmed every time I would read one of her books. Like that was just not like
Hmm.
not the spice, not the connection that I wanted between these
Mm-mm.
people. And so yeah, she's not my favorite,
No.
but they did a good job with this Maggie
Hmm.
Dallin did a very good job of like winking at the tropes of the
Hmm.
genre, I think. And that made it
Yeah.
fun. Uh,
Yeah.
Starting with the fact he has a puppy.
Yes. It was like the minute you see the puppy, you're like, oh, yes, he's the one.
Yeah. And I liked it later on when he's like, it's always near kisses. It's
Yes.
never a kiss. And, and they
Never
have
full
been, for
kiss.
a while, I felt like they were mercifully moving away from the near kiss, but this year they've been doubling down.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of near kisses, and
Hmm.
and so that was I think pretty funny that they poked fun at that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I agree.
And then we have the eggnog tasting. That's the first kind of activity that they do.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Are you team eggnog or team hot cocoa?
I'm team hot cocoa. Eggnog, my dad always puts whiskey in it, and I'm just like, ugh,
Okay.
ugh. I don't like
Yeah.
whiskey.
Yeah. It's strong. I'm
Yes, too
sure.
strong for me.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for me. And they do a whole bunch of different activities, and that was fun because there was a movie a couple of years ago called The Christmas Club that
Hmm.
was about this whole like supposed. It was kind of a similar. It was supposed to be this. Uh, it was supposed to be this similar kind of hotel type place,
Hmm.
and it was so mediocre. Like I felt like the people spent most of the time walking these people's dog. I'm like, and they're all like, "Oh, we're gonna franchise the club." I'm like, who would want to do this club? Like it's terrible,
It's so boring.
awful. But this was like genuinely fun. They did a
Yeah.
lot of different activities.
Yeah. I wonder just like, do they do this Christmas land every year? Because it would not surprise, or all
Yeah,
year, because it would not surprise me if they basically did it all year,
yeah,
considering, I mean, New York has a all year round Christmas shop right
uh-huh.
near Times Square, so
Yeah, I'll
would
be
not
going
surprise
there
me.
this
Yeah.
week. I mean, I would want to go to this Christmas land.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. But I can't imagine like the townspeople keeping up this kind of charade for that long.
I
and
know. I
pretending
know,
to not
just
be
too
married
much.
and, stuff like that.
It's like a version of the good place where they actually have to make it a good place instead of having to perform to sociologically
Yeah.
torture people.
It's like how do you keep the puppy always a puppy? Like how do you
I
keep this
know.
going? I don't know.
You got to replace that little puppy.
The
This is
the
our 30th dog
yeah,
puppy
right.
right now.
Just got like a puppy mill over here.
Yep, exactly. Just a puppy mill around there just to have a puppy.
Yeah. Um, the cookie baking scene was very, very, very over the top. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, where they're going with flour and all this stuff,
Yeah,
it was
you're like,
pretty funny. Made
yeah.
me laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a little
because
fun. Yeah.
you don't really get that much flour on you when you make gingerbread type cookies.
No, no.
Like you only get like a lot of flour on you when you're making something that's like yeasty, in
Yeah.
my experience at least.
Like bread.
Yeah, like bread or pizza dough or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're more likely to get flour on you.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
and so it was so over the top and flirty and funny that it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Um then they and yeah, and you can tell she's like lost her way because she asks, is it dairy free? Oh no. Um and then
But
his
that also is probably just like, please don't say you're lactose intolerant. Please don't say you're lactose
yeah,
intolerant.
right.
I'm not lactose
Yeah.
intolerant.
So then his ex shows up, and his ex has been
Mm-hmm.
calling, leaving messages and stuff. And so
The
she's like,
blonde
the
ex.
blonde. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And she ends up being entered in this baking competition. And it turns out this is all part of the thing, and then she ends up winning the baking competition. But
Yes.
it was,
Finally beating the older woman who's always won every time.
mhm. Yeah.
The older woman did not seem too upset. She just looked a little surprised, like, oh, I lost.
That's because it was all
Okay.
part of the fake.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was all part of the fake. And
That's
that's
right.
why.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yours weren't really. So she says, mine weren't really the best, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Mm,
So,
yeah.
but I do appreciate they didn't lean in too much to like, how dare you lie to me? That whole
You
can be
know.
such a groaner.
Thank
Uh,
goodness. Or just yeah, just like the liar revealed, and you're
yeah, the
like,
liar
oh,
reveal.
yeah.
But they have like lots of cozy scenes. They go on this
Mm-hmm.
carriage ride. They're by the
Yeah.
fire.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're looking for that ornament. And I'm like, that
Yeah.
thing was not very well lost. If this thing was supposed to be
No.
lost for,
Nope. Mm-mm.
she's never decorated a Christmas tree before. I'm like, what?
What?
Where did
Oh
this?
yeah, I remember that, and I was like, "What? What did I hear? Like
Yeah,
what?"
where did this woman live? Like, never decorate a Christmas tree,
She
but
just knocks it out. She just like, I just take my coffee black,
yeah,
black, and like no peppermint, nothing like that. No, and with oat milk.
yeah. So then they're dancing together.
Hmm.
And you do kind of feel like he probably should have told her by this point. Like
Yeah,
it does start
like
to, at what point do we think he's kind of a little bit about this,
yeah,
a little bit not great about this.
yeah.
But he was very charming. I think
Hmm.
if Johnny Reardon, if he wants to have a career doing these, then I think he could do it. I mean, he's on
He,
Hudson and Rex show on Canada, but if he wants
yeah,
to, he's good. I think he's very
yeah.
charming.
He is charming. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think so. So anyway, they're dancing and all the guests are basically plants. I mean, this is very immersive. I would like to know how expensive this thing
I
is.
know. Like, what is the average budget for these Hallmark movies, I wonder?
Yeah. So then
But
they,
considering how many advertisings they get, just like
oh
this
yeah,
lasted 2 hours and there's
yeah.
36 minutes of advertising. And I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
Mhm.
I never watch live because it's unbearable how
Yeah.
much advertising they have. And
I
then when
did
they
that with
have,
the Christmas Quest. With this one, I watched this afternoon. I was like, at least I can skip it, skip,
yeah,
skip, skip.
I mean, none of these were too bad in the product placement, but
Hmm.
if you watched some of the ones on the some of the other ones this weekend. They just have
Oh,
like this gratuitous product placement, and you just think you already have all of the ads, then you really need this over the top product placement, but it's almost become
yeah,
something people
exactly.
look forward to of like, oh, there's the giant Folgers can,
Oh, yeah.
or whatever. But
Oh, 'tis the season for the Folgers incest commercial.
so then we have the near kiss. The mom, it comes down,
Mm-hmm.
interrupts.
Yeah, of course.
Always near kiss.
Yep, and the mom always a cock block. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, really is.
Doing that like, ugh.
And then she wins the baking competition,
Yep. Mhm.
and the another near kiss. There were two in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one, the Santa guy, he interrupts.
I was like, how dare you, Santa? First mom, now this.
Yeah, and she gets the snowman crown, and
Yeah, that ugly crown. I'm sorry, it's not, it was ugly. I was just like, ugh, that looks, I hope it doesn't poke her head like a crown of thorns.
mhm,
I was like, that does not look good at all. No, that looks
yeah.
kind of ugly.
So then his ex is there, and then it all unravels everything.
Yep.
I can't believe you'd take the script this far. Am I supposed to pretend to be your girlfriend now? No. And the holiday romance package works for some of your guests, but I'm not one of those. Yeah. And then they talk about that's when they talk about it. It's always an almost kiss. It's not.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
Yep.
and then he says, I should go after her, and and then he says, we have the same problems as in other towns, but the tourists don't see them because
Hmm.
that's what the lady in town says, because they still
Yeah.
have like a unhoused shelter and everything like that,
Hmm.
and it's part of the show for this lady to pretend to be her baking rival,
Hmm.
and she didn't really win. And
Yeah.
Jingles the puppy is part of the ruse.
Yeah.
Rude,
Jingles.
even Jingles, the
Jingles was
puppy.
in it the whole time. He was the mastermind, the dog.
Yeah. So she's gonna leave, but her friend, who has been hanging out with this guy, like we talked about,
The guy old
uh,
enough to be her dad.
old
Yep.
enough to be her dad, but they're like, just come have a coffee with me. And so she has the coffee,
Hmm.
and she kind of talks to him. And this
Hmm.
is when she finds out from the mom that Ethan is my Grinch handler.
Yeah.
Grinch handler. That made me laugh. Uh,
Yes.
and she says to Ethan, "Can I trust you?" And he says, "Well, let's take the leap of faith. If you stay, I can show you something real."
Hmm.
And then they kiss.
Yes.
So this was pretty. They did have the big flaw with the side relationship, but everything
Hmm.
else pretty much I enjoyed. I enjoyed all the meta-ness. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the lead couple.
Hmm.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I would probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5.
I'm probably going to go a little lower with that
Mm,
because just the side couple just really,
yeah,
really bugged me. And I just like, I hated that it was
it was a
just not
problem.
really thought out very well. Not really. It just, yeah, that was just a big issue with me. And I'm just like, uh,
I get that.
yeah. So I gave it a 2.5. Just
Mm,
like if they had more consideration for the best friend and her relationship, I think it would have been a much stronger
yeah,
character for me.
I
But
can understand that. I really
yeah.
can. Hallmark Geese, it's time to spruce up your Christmas season with holiday romances and dreamy happily ever afters. So pick up some festive fiction for yourself and gift another to the book lover in your life. Christmas at Sugar Plum Manor will transport you to the Nutcracker-inspired Edwardian era with a childhood friends to lovers romance. A hometown Christmas reunion at Second Chance Romance in the Christmas Catch will appeal to fans of the sports romance trope. The Christmas Tree Farm will delight with a breath of crisp, piney air at the family tree farm and a battle of wills with an ex-boyfriend. Make a holiday return to Prince Edward Island with a bit of matchmaking and meddling with mistletoe. Cozy up during the chilly weather and grab these books for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com. All right. So then we have the Christmas Quest, and
Mm-hmm.
this stars Lacey Chabert, Christopher Palaha, and directed by Dustin Reichert.
Mm-hmm.
And the writers Andrew Gernard, Marcy Holland, and Dustin Reichert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an archaeologist and her ex-husband, an expert in ancient Norse languages, are sent to Iceland at Christmas time to search for the legendary treasure of the Yule lads. When others
Mm-hmm.
join in the hunt, the pair find themselves swept into a thrilling adventure as they race to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. So overall, what do you think of this one?
I think, well, I definitely like this one a bit more than Believe in Christmas.
Yeah.
And I also was kind of happy to see how many Icelandic people were not just cast in this film, but also working on this film. Like the cinematographer is from Iceland, and two of the producers are Icelandic citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and how
and the
much Icelandic lore they pack
it
into this
is,
thing. I
it
mean,
really
most of the stuff they're
is.
talking about is like real stuff.
Yeah, and most of the people who were doing the production, the art design, they're from Iceland. This was their culture, just and they got a chance to do a Hallmark movie that explored their culture that a lot of Hollywood films don't really look at, except for I think the only film that really looked a bit into Icelandic folklore recently that was popular was Eurovision with Will Ferrell and Rachel
Oh.
McAdams,
You know, the
where
other one that
they're
I thought of is Walter Mitty,
yeah, that
Ben
oh
Stiller.
yeah, oh
I thought of
yeah.
that one a little bit.
Yeah.
And Hallmark has done a couple movies set in Iceland.
Hmm.
They had and this one did feel like a tiny bit like a Winterfest movie more than a Christmas
Yeah.
movie.
Hmm.
But they
Though they
had
tried
a
to insert the Christmas quest in there.
yeah.
Like Lacey Sherbert's ex-husband keeps like, we're on a Christmas quest. And it's
Hmm.
just like, we're on a
Yeah.
quest. And Lacey's just like, no, don't say quest. Quest.
They
We're
had
on a mission, a Christmas mission. No.
yeah. They tried, but they had another movie, Love in Iceland, which was
Hmm.
Winterfest.
Oh
Maybe that's also
yeah.
partly why I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
But the only thing that kind of was a bit of a bummer with this movie was the ending. I thought was kind of underwhelming. Like that
Yeah.
they find that it's basically like this junk cave, and that
Yeah,
her
I
mom
agree.
wouldn't
And
have told her that, and her
hilariously
mom,
so well preserved for being in there for hundreds of years. I actually kind of laughed like they only put
yeah.
like a little bit of like they only put a few cobwebs in there and it's just like it's
Well,
fine.
and that
Like
they'd have this whole like organization to protect the treasure and all
yeah,
these clues and all this stuff for like literally they
potatoes.
call it just junk. Yeah, potato. Like I found that kind of underwhelming. I know
I
that they
thought
were
that
like,
was kind
"Oh,
of
the true
funny,
gift
but
is your
yeah.
note from your mother and that your mother believed in you." And I get that, but it was such a fun adventure that
Yeah.
it felt like
It's
it
kind
sort
of
of
like if you found like the Ark of the Covenant and then it turned out that there was nothing there. The Ark of the Covenant just didn't exist
yeah.
whatsoever.
Like
It's
I would
kind of
have
like that with this
yeah.
movie.
Like I would have rather say there's like um I don't know, like a ruby or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, it would have been
That
interesting, and then it could have been she could have said this needs to be in the archives, and because that would be really good, because that would be a great thing, and how she was
or
just like that has to be restored and then put into an Icelandic archive for Icelandic citizens and
yeah.
others to come and see to see a part of the historical artifacts
Like that would have
of
been
their
nice.
land.
Or even if she
Hmm.
had said, you know what, I'm gonna leave this for the next quester to find,
Yeah,
and
because
this
she
is
realized
part of
like
it. Like,
what did it matter was this what
yeah,
mattered
that's what they
was the
did.
journey. Yeah.
Palaha has another
Hmm.
movie where what's it called? Another movie called Pearl in Paradise.
Oh yeah.
And spoiler alert, in that one, they find the big prize pearl. and they
Mm-hmm.
put it back and they leave it
Yeah.
for other people to find it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And there's like a whole sort of mythology around that and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a nice little ending, for that
Yeah.
story. I would have been fine if it had been something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But this just was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't love
Yeah.
that ending. But
Yeah.
I, for the most part, I was very entertained by it. You can definitely
Mm-hmm.
tell that they spent a lot of money on it, and
Yes,
there were a
they
lot of really
definitely
fun
did.
scenes. And these two have
Mm-hmm.
really great chemistry. So I
The
it
wardrobe
was
was not as excessive as the other film, I will say,
yeah,
which makes
that's
a
true.
lot
Not
of
as many
sense,
coats.
except for the dress, except for the gorgeous dress. Like Lacey gets an amazing dress in this movie
Yes, she
because
looked great.
she's the queen of the Hallmark Christmas movies, basically now.
Well, it was fun starting out with Erin Cahill as her mom,
Hmm.
playing her
Yeah.
mom, reading her the stories, telling her about the
And she's like this Indiana Jones-esque
mhm.
figure.
That
So
was fun.
that was
And the
cool.
fact that they had this pretty long animated section about the Yule Lads of Iceland, I thought that
Yeah.
was really
Yeah, with
impressive.
the dwarves, like the Icelandic dwarves, which I'm sure a lot of Icelanders would love because they love their mythology over
Like
there,
it
and
looked
so many of
good.
them believe, and so many of the citizens do believe still in elves and dwarves and supernatural creatures. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I looked up a
mhm.
whole thing
Mhm.
it's the Icelandic Yule Lads is a
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
That on the morning of December 12th, Icelandic children will wake up with a smile on their faces and butterflies in their bellies. The reason Yule lads, or as we like to call them in
Hmm.
Icelandic, Julsvenar. And not only are there 13 of them, but there's also their mom, their dad, and their Christmas cat, which
Hmm.
you saw the
Yes.
cat in the
Yes.
animation. The eve before
Yoko
December
Kata.
12th, everyone believes in the Yule lad who believes in the Yule lads will put a shoe on the window sill and keep it
Hmm.
there for 13 days. This particular number has to do with the number of Icelandic anyway, I see. Every night until Christmas, a new Yule lad will visit the window and place a small gift in the shoe.
Hmm.
This is not as all as creepy as it sounds, for many
Yes,
Yule lads
no.
are the best part of their days leading up to Christmas Day.
Hmm.
So I thought that was fun. I mean, it's so hard in these movies to come up with
Hmm.
new Christmas stuff that hasn't
It
already been
is. And
done.
just like you got to go out of the American way. And sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
And if you have a film industry like the Icelandic film industry that wants to help collaborate,
yeah.
yeah, I
Because
would
even
say
like
go
the
for it.
European traditions, those have been done
Hmm.
pretty heavily.
Hmm.
So to find new stuff that hasn't ever been done, and we've done the Icelandic book flood that has been done on
Hmm.
Hallmark before, but
Yeah.
I think only once,
Hmm.
and so to have more of their tradition was great. I really enjoyed that,
Yes.
and so she is on this quest, and she's on the expedition to find the Yule's Vinar, and she gets the Yule horn is a
Hmm.
cipher, and that was
I thought it
fun.
was so
Build,
funny how perfectly kept the blue coverage or surrounding this horn was. I'm like, no
yeah,
dust
that's
whatsoever. This
true.
must be magic.
It looked great. Yeah. So we need to find someone who reads ancient Norse runes. I know just the guy.
Guy. Oh,
And I mean, I don't know if you agree, but I thought that Lacey and Christopher had really nice chemistry together.
they did. And I'm glad he's getting a lot of good work. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, where have I seen this guy before? Where did I see? Oh, and I remembered he was in Wonder Woman
Yeah, he
1984. He
was.
was the guy who Chris Pine's soul or spirit takes over when he comes
So
back.
it was a strange choice. I don't know what Patty was thinking with that, but
I don't know
it
either.
it
I
wasn't
really
his
don't.
fault. I mean, he did a perfectly fine job, but it was just a
Yeah,
strange story.
it
It
is
goes
funny. His character is just
It
called
is such an
Handsome
odd
Man.
way to bring back Steve. Like, if you're gonna bring back
I know.
Steve, just have him time travel. Who
I
cares? It's
know. Or do
all,
something like that. You're the DC universe. You can
it's,
figure it out.
yeah, just have the Flash bring him or whatever. Who cares?
Exactly, exactly. I will say I did like they brought the Yule cat, even though they didn't mention the more unsavory aspects where some legends, if the child does not receive new clothes before Christmas Eve, the cat will come and actually eat them.
Oh my
And I'm sure
gosh.
they're like, Hallmark's like, no, that's too scary. No, we can't have
Yeah.
that. And it's
We
been
live in
changed to be like,
Ash.
oh, they'll just eat their food if they don't have new clothes before Christmas
Yeah.
Eve. And even I feel like that's kind of shaming people who can't afford new clothes.
Mm,
But
that makes sense.
so yeah.
Yeah, so there were a lot of set pieces in this movie. I mean, they really
Hmm.
did have a lot of different. They were at the church, then they're at the
Yes.
pub, then there was that there was the church that's all lit up,
Uh-huh. And
that
they were at the museum for the
the
party,
museum for the
which is why I
party.
thought they would come back to the museum if they actually found something there and be like they could
Hmm.
donate it to the museum because
Yeah,
they
that could have been
already
good.
that would have been really interesting.
Yeah,
And I
that
do love in
church,
this, yeah. Mhm.
the church that's lit up is
Uh-huh.
called Kirka Holograms. I'm sorry,
Oh,
everyone is going to be
yeah.
upset with my horrible Icelandic pronunciation, but
It took me a long time to actually pronounce Rishivak. Like I would just not get it. I was just like, no, Rishivak.
yeah,
And
it's
also just
called
like the
I
Dota and the son. I was like, oh, what is those names? Oh, it means the son of Olaf, Olaf's son, Gormund's daughter, son of daughter of Gormund, because it's patronymical names. So it goes by the
yeah,
father's
Hall,
name. Mhm.
Hallgrim's
Yeah.
Kirkja Church. It's got new lighting. It'll be lit with LED lights, saving energy. I guess now is the thing. But the church was designed by state architect in and was built between 1945 and 1986. It's one of the capital's best known landmarks.
Hmm.
Stands atop of the Skolved Holt Hill in the center of Reykjavik and is the second tallest building in Iceland. So that's pretty fun that they brought that in.
Yes.
And they also have the fermented skate that they
Hmm.
eat. Fermented skate, also known as Kaiskata in Icelandic, is a traditional
Hmm.
Christmas dish in Iceland. It's typically
Hmm.
eaten on there's a holiday, Porlax Messa, December 23rd is I guess their day
Hmm.
for eating fermented skate.
Yeah.
I don't know about the fermented skate. I think I
I
might
was like, I
pass.
would try it. I would eat that.
I guess I'll try anything once, but
Yeah.
I don't mind like I've had pickled herring and things like that, so maybe it wouldn't be too bad.
I do know
But
they do eat puffin birds. And I was like, okay then.
oh,
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
oh, they're so cute. They're so nice. It's just like, would you like some puffin bird to eat after your tour after you saw them? Like, no
So
thanks.
so they have a debate throughout this movie. Which one would you pick? Christmas past, present, or future? So she says she'd pick past. She'd go
Hmm.
back to the Christmas that they spent in Maine. The heat had
Hmm.
died and they made tea out of pine needles,
Hmm.
and so she has this fond memory. And then he talks about later he'd want to see the future. Who wouldn't want to see their future and their mistakes and make better choices?
Hmm.
What about you? What would you pick?
I kind of liked what the who the one we think is the rival at first, but she actually is a good person, just doesn't want the greedy the British capitalist to take the treasure that they're trying to find and go as
Uh,
Christmas present because you can go to all these Christmas parties.
that's
Just like that'd
true.
be fun.
I think I would have a hard time not picking past just to get the
Mm-hmm.
chance to see like my grandpa or my
Mm-hmm.
grandma that have passed
Yeah.
to see them again. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I could get that up.
I understand. I
But I think it would
understand
be
that feeling.
hard to, it would just be so devastating because you miss them so much. But
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I could give up the chance to see them again.
I
And
know, I
like, what's
know.
that exciting that's going to happen to me? I really don't think anything that great.
Like in the future, what exciting thing's gonna happen to me? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think I'd be disappointed. They tried the fruit cake and they both like it, which
Yeah.
I am not a fan. You can watch it if you watch the Hallmarkies TikTok. You can see me trying trying fruit cake last year.
I'm
Not for
not a
me.
fruit cake fan either. I'm just like, fruit should be on top of cakes, not in cakes.
I think the problem is we just don't eat dried fruit as much as
Yeah.
they used to.
And also it can't be dry. I'm just like, no, no. They got to be fresh,
Hmm
fresh fruit.
I,
I was just
and
like, yeah.
also I don't drink alcohol, and
Hmm.
they're very like alcohol flavored,
Yeah,
usually
that makes sense.
fruitcakes, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I don't
I
know, just we
rarely
just don't
drink
eat
alcohol,
that.
so I probably just like,
Yeah,
no.
we just don't
I
eat
had it
those
one time
dried
as a
fruit
kid.
that much anymore, like they used to,
Yeah. No.
like raisins and stuff.
Yeah.
But they seem to like it, so there we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, there's the lady there with the rope, and she did
Hmm.
leave them the rope.
Yeah, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought she was
I
gonna
know.
just leave them there, just like, no, she kept her promise. Like, give me your mom's journal with all the notes, and I'll give you the rope.
Yeah.
Scout's honor, and she
Although I could
did it.
never climb that. I mean, I would no, I would never. I
It's
mean, I
like
guess
I
there are
have to have a rock
explorers.
wall with me.
You'd have
I
to be
can't
good
just climb
shape.
it by myself. I'm just like, I can't, I have to have a rock wall for like a
Yeah.
ballast. Yeah,
So then
otherwise, no, I can't climb a
they
rope
make
by
leaf
myself.
bread. Like I
Yeah.
said, they really did pack a ton of events and story and everything's
Hmm.
going on into this. The leaf
Yeah.
bread, it looks tasty. I found a recipe
Mm.
that for it, and it looks really good.
Hmm.
Um, it kind of looks like it's like it almost looks like a fried tortilla almost.
Yeah.
It's in the past it was fried in lamb fat, which gave it a very
Mhm.
particular flavor, but today is fried in vegetable oil. The bread is
Mhm.
taken out of the oil and still hot and tender. It's placed on kitchen paper pressed with a wooden board, which
Wooden
helps to
board.
make it
Hmm.
look smooth. These wooden boards are usually made by children at school to give to their parents and grandparents in
Ooh.
what I do is press each bread with kitchen paper and it helps me with my and help it with my hands. It was also common to
Ooh.
use a mixture of ammonium bicarbonate and let's see here. Um
It
so
reminds me
basically
of
it's
Nimbus bread from Lord of the Rings. Which
yeah,
it would not, yeah, which has a lot of Norse mythology, so and Scandinavian influence through it. Like Beowulf is basically the biggest inspiration for it. So you're like, yeah, I can see that.
it
I
kind
can
of
see
looks
that.
like fry bread or scones, but like
Yeah. Oh
thinner.
yeah. Hmm.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
It's
It
just
does look
fun,
good.
like how much they packed into one movie here.
Hmm.
With there's the whole set piece with the museum, which was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Just like, have you ever seen the film Notorious? What? No, I've
Yeah,
seen the birds. Do you trust me? I trust you. And then the security guard just walks in and he's like kissing her, just like bent down,
yeah,
like Ingmar Bergman, Cary Grant style,
so
and
fun.
brings her back up and just like, whew, I gotta watch
Yeah.
that movie. I'm like, you damn well do, better do, Lacey.
I love that movie. And it was like kind of a deep cut for Hallmark to be like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more of an obscure Hitchcock movie, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
because
that
it's
was
never
fun.
really put into the box set of the classics. Like you get The Birds, Psycho,
Yeah,
North by Northwest, and
yeah,
Vertigo is mostly, I think, in that. And like
right.
Notorious was made more close to his British era than it was to his Hollywood era, even though it was Hollywood, but the peak of his Hollywood era, I would say.
But
So I think that's
it's one of
why.
my favorites. I love Notorious.
Same. I think it's probably my second favorite Hitchcock film after Shadow of a Doubt.
That one's good too. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that one's really, really
Hmm.
good. So
Yes.
so that was just a blast, and they absolutely looked gorgeous at
Yes,
the whole museum sequence.
they did. They did.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really fun.
I
And
kind of
and
felt the reveal with the British investors, like, oh, I feel he's going to be a bad guy. And it's just like, oh, it happens. I'm just like, you just now figured out, Lacey, that this is a bad guy. It's like, okay.
yeah, but like
Like,
they can never make anybody that bad. He's just like
no,
a little greedy.
no. Yeah, he's just like, and his name is even Victor Grimes. So I was like, okay. Just,
And he says that I'd like to get a chance to see my future and my mistakes, make better choices, but you are not one of them. That time with you
mm-hmm.
was the happiest time of my life, which was pretty
Oh,
swoony. That was
yeah.
sweet. So
That
then
was
the
sweet.
Christmas
Definitely.
Eve,
Yeah.
and there is not a day that has gone by that I haven't thought of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good.
That was
They
good.
have a near kiss, and but her
Yes,
boss
of
shows
course.
up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we get the gala at the museum, and it's hosted by the prime
Yes.
minister. And even their whole plan to get into the was fun. They're
Mm-hmm.
using they're having their
Pretending to be
friends
this
go.
Icelandic couple, and they actually get to
Yeah.
have do a fake Icelandic accents, which is actually really fun to listen
Yeah.
to.
That was enjoyable.
And Lacey
And
Sherbert got to do her voice acting skills again, which was great because,
yeah.
yeah, you were the kid in the
Um
90s. You watched Wild Thornberries. So,
well, and I was especially if they're these noted archaeologists, I'm not sure why they couldn't have just gone to the museum.
I
Just looked at the
know.
door. Why was all this subterfuge needed? I didn't really understand. But they thought that their door would be the one that was on display, but it turns out it wasn't. So that's when they
Yes.
go down into the
Mm-hmm.
basement and they
Mm-hmm.
find the door, and that's when they have to do the notorious scene. And do you trust me?
The basically new looking door that's supposed to be hundreds of
Yeah.
years old, like even being preserved like that, it's still there's gonna be cracks, it's
Yeah.
gonna be way more like the paint in that door was so fresh. I was like, they are not repainting that artifact. Please don't. Do not
Yeah.
do that. That's what you don't do
I,
with
I mean, I guess if
archives.
there's anything that makes sense about the ending being a little anticlimactic, is the fact that maybe a bunch of people have solved these clues over the years because they're
Maybe it
not
was
that
not
hard.
that hard to figure out. It
Um,
truly was the journey that counts. I mean, her mom figured it out, and I'm not sure if her mom knew how to read Old Norse,
uh-huh. Yeah, her
but
mom figured it
her mom
out,
was an archaeologist, so
and there's a clue in the door that they end up figuring out from burning,
yeah, that's
being able
right.
to read it,
And
and
I do like the film that foreshadows that her mom had already been there. It's like the box of the horn was already open, and the paper was singed already for the secret note.
yeah. I thought
Yeah.
it was a pretty good moment when he says, "Oh, you're my ex-wife," and
Yeah.
she thinks that he's betrayed her.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty well pulled off. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, like I knew, of course, that he wasn't going to, but I was like, what is happening? And it turns out he was just doing it to steal the clue. I had to
Yeah.
let him
Hmm.
think I'd go with him to be close
Hmm.
enough to take it.
Hmm.
I thought that was fun. I
Yeah.
mean, up until that
And it
ending,
was
I
a
was
nice
like,
callback to when she first comes to him and and Victor Grimes is just like, has he agreed to be a part of it after he's at his parents'
yeah,
Christmas tree farm? And it just like Mr. Baxter, just like, oh, your husband? Ex-husband, he says, just right at the
yeah.
beginning where he's still
I was like,
angry at her because
oh,
realizing that, oh, you didn't want to reconcile. You just wanted me for your work. And you're like,
yeah.
oh, there's some tension there. And that's a nice callback. I like that
But
callback.
it was also nice because when he says, I had to let him think I'd go with him,
Hmm.
and her fears are not realized, and she's just I love when she was like, I totally forgive you.
Yes.
That was fun. And then they get chased by the woman who was at the cave and they are tasked with protecting the location of the treasure. And that's
Hmm.
why the ending feels like, oh, come on. Well, would they really have like generations of people guarding trash? Like that doesn't make
Yeah.
much
No.
sense. And then he says, what if it's not the lad's story? Maybe it's our story is the beginning of
Hmm.
the adventure, which is fun. And
Hmm.
it all leads to this. It's just junk. These are the prized
Yeah.
possessions, but her compass is there.
Potatoes. Yep, but that was her compass. She left it there for her to find.
Yeah, the note from her mom, you were the greatest
Hmm.
treasure of my life, which was very sweet,
Yes.
but I was still like, what?
I feel like the mom figured out that wasn't much anything else. She's like, I should let my daughter have this too, so she can actually discover this quest. Because how
So she
disappointed
can
would
have
my
a
daughter be able to
frustrating
know that
experience.
there was no treasure here either? Because I'm already disappointed, but let her be disappointed later.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
When
her,
we
this
add
mom came up
compound
with
the
this convoluted
disappointment,
plan,
well, I
knowing
just
her
don't
daughter would
understand why
follow in
her
her
mom didn't.
footsteps.
I don't understand why her mom didn't give her a heads up. And like, because this whole time she could have been spending all this time actually like looking into actual other treasure that's real.
Exactly.
That's not just junk.
Yeah. The mom just maybe the mom could actually see could see Christmas future, could actually see that she was going to do it. It's like, oh, I got to leave these clues for her. I got to leave
Yeah,
that because she needs to do this to get back with her
I
ex-husband. So I'm like,
guess she just knew.
yeah, because how does she know this was going to happen unless she could see the future?
Yeah, and
Now we're making fan fiction about the movie to try to figure out what their issues, but
but
let's just go with it.
I would watch another one of these. I
Me
really would.
too. I would
I thought
too.
they were very fun, and like the
Yes.
next one, you could make it be in like maybe in like Russia or Ukraine or something like that, or
Probably not Russia
Estonia,
or Ukraine right now. Maybe like maybe
like
Poland,
Bulgaria,
something like
maybe.
that. Bulgaria sounds better,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
that would be good. So then,
Yes,
this is right now. I'm just appreciating what's in front of me.
exactly.
So we'll get there. And they
At
have a
least
Christmas
Bulgaria has
toast.
much more sunlight than Iceland does.
Yeah. So, and then I said, why would they set up all these clues and have this whole society guarding junk? It makes no sense, but oh well, what are you gonna
Oh
do?
well, what are you gonna do? Or you could say it's a weird Icelandic thing. That's just what they do. I mean, that's the
I
land of
guess,
beer,
yeah.
so
I guess it's just a weird Icelandic thing. But
yes.
I still really had a fun time watching this.
Me too.
I would probably give it like 4.25
Yeah. I would give it
crowns.
about a 3 to a 3.5. It's in that range for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let
And
us
yeah, I
know.
did like this more than I did like it a bit more than Hot Frosty, I will say.
Oh, the Hot
Yeah.
Frosty. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
The
I did
other
like it
Lacey
more than
Sherbert
Hot
Christmas
Frosty.
movie.
Well, the
Yes.
problem with I really enjoyed it, but it started to take itself a little too seriously. I liked the first
Yeah,
half of Hot
agree.
Frosty a lot more than the
Yeah,
second half. Then it was
agree.
trying to be all emotional and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah. He's going to die. He's
yeah,
melting.
you have your talking, your
And Craig
snowman
Roberts is
come to
like,
life
get
movie. I don't need it to
$2,000
get
cash.
emotional.
And it's basically the ending of It's a Wonderful Life with just like instead of trying to save the firm, it's saving
Yeah,
this hot man from melting.
save Hot Frosty.
Yeah,
It's a little
save the hot
much.
frosty funding now.
But I agree with you. I like this better than Hot
Yes.
Frosty. So,
Hmm.
and Believe in Christmas.
Yes. I know.
But
I think my friend is going to be so happy because I told her because we were talking about this movie and she's like, I need to record this. I want to watch this because she loves these
well,
Christmas movies. So it was so I
they're a
was
lot
glad
of
to know that
fun.
this one's better.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think if you're listening, what you think of these two movies. How would you rate them? What you think of things we talked about? We'd love to hear it in the comment section or on Twitter. And where can people follow you? What you're doing up to?
You can follow me on Twitter at Raspberry Raz, and I'm also on Blue Sky now at M Raspberry at bluesky.social, and I
Right.
also do some writing on my letterbox, just Molly Raspberry, and also on my own blog, Mollywood Writes at wordpress.com. Oh,
Great. Well,
yeah.
we'll have all of that in the descriptions. Make sure y'all check it out.
Mhm.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that so much. And we have our patron group, which is so much fun. It's such a great way to support the podcast. We have monthly patron activities and other benefits. We even have even Molly's a member of the Patreon. It's a lot of fun.
Woo!
So you should check it
Mhm.
out. And then we have our merch store where we have a whole bunch of fun new Christmas movie inspired designs. We have It's a Wonderful Life, we have Home Alone, we have Die Hard, we have Christmas Story, all that fun stuff at the merch store. Plus everything you could want for the Hardy postable, Hallmarky in your life. Check it out. And all that information's in the description. And thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.
Woo! Bye-bye.